The Marrows family moved into Halcie, a quiet rural town cut off from main roads and tucked into the folds of rolling hills and unclaimed woods. There was no cell phone signal past the faded welcome sign, and directions to anything off the single main street often hinged on unreliable landmarks like the split elm behind Dawson's feed store, or where the road turns gravel right beside the rusted yellow mailbox. But it was peaceful, cheap, and far from the chaos the family had fled in the city. The locals did not speak much unless prompted, their smiles leaning toward the stiff kind that stretched the skin more than it conveyed warmth. At first, Eva Marrows thought it charming. Small towns, she told herself, weren't known for openness. But as days turned into weeks, she noticed how everyone's front porch lights flickered at the same exact time each night, 8:17 p.m., regardless of weather or season. No one could explain it. It was Mrs. Halbert from the grocer who first warned Eva in her own roundabout way. "You'll want to make sure your curtains are drawn before the flicker," she said, her thin lips barely moving beside her teeth. Eva chuckled, but the older woman didn't smile back. "It doesn't like to be watched." When Eva pressed her, the woman only added, "Nothing here's new. Not even you." That night, curiosity overcame common sense. At 8:15, Eva sat near the living room window, lights off, curtains slightly drawn. As the clock ticked, a stillness fell over the entire block as though all sound had been swallowed. Then it happened, a subtle pulse of light that wasn't from a bulb or street lamp, but something far softer, cooler. It passed over the house like a ripple in water, and in the reflection of the darkened windowpane, she saw something tall behind her. But when she spun around, the room was empty. The next morning, unease clung to her like sweat. She asked Tom, her husband, if he'd noticed anything strange during the flicker, but he just shrugged. "Probably a surge or some small-town wiring thing. Don't let them get in your head." Their daughter, Lily, had taken to humming to herself when alone and staring into corners for long stretches. When Eva asked what she was doing, Lily said, without turning her head, "Listening. It talks loud during the flicker." Alarmed, Eva pushed harder. "What talked?" But Lily only blinked slowly and said, "The man in the hat. He knows your name now." That night, Eva covered all mirrors, including the reflective TV screen. But still, a shadow lingered in the far corner of the room longer than it should when the lights came back on. Days unfurled into a kind of dreamless routine. Tom seemed more distant, opting to stay out longer after work, claiming to have joined a local community circle that met after dark. When Eva asked what they did at these meetings, he simply said, "We make peace with it." His tone was clipped, his eyes flat. At breakfast, he no longer mentioned dreams, even though Eva heard him muttering in his sleep, something rhythmical, like a chant she couldn't decipher. He'd wake up with soil under his nails and never had an explanation. One night, she followed him in secret. He took no flashlight, no path, just trudged into the woods behind the house without hesitation. Eva didn't call for him, didn't dare follow. The moment his shape dissolved into the trees, the thermometer on her phone dropped 10 degrees. Eva became obsessed with researching the town. The library was sparse, dusty, staffed by a hunched man who seemed to know she was coming. "You won't find what you're looking for in there," he said before she even asked. But in the back of one shelf, she found a crumbling local journal dated 1911. Scrawled in the margins beside mundane entries about harvests and livestock were drawings of a tall, shadowed man with exaggerated limbs and a flat-brimmed hat. Next to one, in red ink, was written, "He chooses anew each 7 moons. Light bends when he walks." Eva snapped photos, but when she opened them later, every image was distorted, warped as though the pages had melted. The only thing that remained clear in the photos was the phantasmal figure, somehow sharper than in real life, eyes steadily watching her. That evening, Eva confronted Tom. He sat in the backyard, bare feet in the grass, staring motionlessly at the woods. "You don't resist once it sees you," he murmured, almost tenderly. "You're already a part of it." It showed me what happens when you try. Frank Holder tried. Eva didn't know that name, but hours later, while rummaging through old town records, she found a faded missing person poster from 1974. Frank Holder, last seen near the woods. Beneath his name, in pen, someone had scrawled, "Flickered and gone." The next day, Lily would not come out of her room. When Eva opened the door, she found every mirror in the house lined up around her daughter's bed, pointed inward. In the center, Lily whispered something over and over, rocking. It wasn't English. The night of the seventh flicker came with wind and gray-lit skies. At 8:17, the porch lights flickered once more. This time, the air didn't return to normal. A buzz hummed beneath the floorboards. Tom was gone again. Eva tried to call, but there was only static. The lights pulsed, not just outside, but from within the walls. Lily began to sing a lullaby Eva hadn't taught her, in a voice not quite her own. Then the light expanded until it seemed to come from her bones. In the reflection of the window, Eva saw the man in the hat standing just behind her daughter's mirrors, though he wasn't there in the room. Slowly, each mirror began to tilt, turning away from the bed, one by one, until all that was left to reflect was Eva. And then Lily's voice changed completely. "He likes you better, Mommy."